Good day, sir. My name is Rizal Bermudo from BSC 3 Alpha, and these are my chosen topic. Right of a person under custodial investigation. What is Miranda Doctrine? And what are the rights of a person during investigation? What is custodial investigation? According to Republic Act 7438, the practice of issuing an invitation to a person who is investigated and connected with an offense he is suspected to have committed without prejudice to the liability of the inviting officer for any violation of law. According to law, custodial investigation is a process where authorities issues an invitation to a person under investigation and related to a crime or any violation of the law. This begins when the person is taken into custody and identified as being involved in a crime, and when the authorities start asking for details regarding for their participation in the said crime, and this time the said accused or the person invited for custodial investigation has rights. So this is the right of an accused during custodial investigation, and this also where the so-called Miranda warning comes from, or what a police officer says when arresting a person. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford attorney, one will be provided for you. Do you understand? And right from here, the right of the accused during a custodial investigation are as follows. Right to remain silent. Right to competent and independent counsel, preferably of his own choices. The right to be informed of such right. Investigation report must be read and adequately explained to the person under custodial investigation. For example, a man is arrested on suspension of theft and brought to the police station for a questioning. Before the interrogation begins, the arresting officer information aim of his right under Republic Act 7438, including the right to remain silent and the right to have a competent and independent counsel present during the investigation. Since the man cannot afford a lawyer, the officer arrange for a public attorney to assist him. During the questioning, the man is asked about his involvement in the theft. However, he chooses to remain silent, exercising his right against self-incrimination. The lawyer ensures that the man's rights are respected. Through the process, any confession or statement made without the presence of his counsel would be inadmissible in court, as stipulated by Republic Act 7438. We must remember that when a person is arrested, the police must read the Miranda warnings and explain them to the person being arrested. The 12, 18, and 36-hour time periods under Philippines law, Article 125 of the Revised Penal Code, apply to the detention of a person arrested without a warrant and relate to the time within which the arresting officer must deliver the arrested person to the proper judicial authorities. So here's a breakdown. 12 hours for crimes or offenses punishable by light penalties or their equivalent. 18 hours for crimes or offenses punishable by correctional penalties or their equivalent. 36 hours for crimes or offenses punishable by afflictive or capital penalties or their equivalent. And this is not done or followed, the detainee needs to be released. If not released, the authorities may face a case of arbitrary detention. What is Miranda Doctrine? In 1966, in the case of Miranda versus Arizona, the Supreme Court held that the police must advise a suspect in custody of his constitutional rights before question that suspect. If a person is arrested on suspension of robbery, the police must inform them of their Miranda rights. Typically, it sounds like this. You have the right to remain silent. Any statement you make can and will be used as evidence against you in court. You have the right to consult with a lawyer and to have the lawyer present during interrogation. If you cannot afford a lawyer may be appointed to represent you at no cost to you. These are the so-called Miranda rights for Miranda warning. When does Miranda apply? The police must administer the Miranda warnings when a suspect is taken into custody prior to any interrogation. You do not have to be handcuffed and hauled off to jail for the police station in order to be in custody. A person is in custody when he is arrested or when his freedom of movement is significantly restricted to the degree associated with the formal arrest. This determination is made in light of all the circumstances surrounding the encounter with the police. A reasonable person would not have felt free to walk away. Then the suspect was in custody and Miranda applies. How do you invoke your right to remain silent? Silence, even prolonged. Silence is not enough to invoke your right to remain silent. You must speak up and unambiguously announce that you are not going to speak to the officers. No special words are required, but you must make your decision to be quietly, plainly known. You may say, for example, I wish to remain silent. I have nothing to say. I do not want to answer any questions. And I do not want to talk until I have spoken to a lawyer. When should you assert your rights? The best time to assert your rights is immediately after the Miranda warning are administered, before you answer any question. You may, though, assert these rights at any time during police questioning, even if you already answered some question or made other statements. What happened if the police failed to administer Miranda warnings? If the officers fail to advise you of your right, then the statements you make cannot be used as direct evidence against you in a court. Moreover, if the police uncover additional evidence, e.g., drugs or weapons, as a result of your statements, that evidence is tainted by the officer failure to advise you of your rights and, therefore, also may be excluded from any court proceedings. If you are in police custody, you must be advised of your constitutional right to remain silent and right to counsel before being questioned by law enforcement. You are in custody when you're arrested or when your freedom is significantly restricted, such that a reasonable person in that same situation would not feel free to leave. You must speak up and affirmatively assert your right to remain silent. If the police fail to advise you of your rights prior to questioning you, your statements cannot be used against you in court. Any evidence found as a result of those statements also will be excluded.